Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering Thanksgiving. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So, we are doing two different teas this time. I am drinking the Brutalities Cranapple Corpse tea for Thanksgiving. It's got white peony, apple pieces, hibiscus, rose hips, cinnamon, dried cherries, orange peels, ginger root, natural cranberry, orange cinnamon, and ginger flavors.
And I am drinking Republic of Tea's hot apple cider tea, Herbs of Autumn. And it has apple pieces, cinnamon, orange peel, rose hips, berry leaves, natural flavors, ginger root, cloves, citric acid, and cardamom seeds.
And thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love. And for our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So, with credit to Movie Insider and the Review Geek and ChatGPT, in the 2023 Thanksgiving movie, because there's technically multiple Thanksgiving movies, so it's the latest one, 2023.
Yeah.
A mass killer begins a rampage in Plymouth, Massachusetts, 1 year after a deadly Black Friday riot. The murderer targets those involved in the chaos, culminating in a horrific Thanksgiving dinner scene where the survivors must confront the killer's twisted revenge plot. So, for entertainment, I will say there's things I like about this movie and things I don't like about this movie. I personally give it a 7.25. It is, as a heads up, and what I prepared myself for after watching the beginning and what just
I warned
me.
her. I watched it before she did and warned her of a couple of scenes.
It is one of those satirical yet grotesque movies.
Yes.
Like, I kind of think Krampus in a way. And, like...
It's a comment on consumerism at points.
Yeah, at points, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, speaking of Krampus, one thing that I just kind of like, oh, are we really doing this, was the Black Friday scene. Now, to be fair, this does set up the movie to the whole, like, you know, killer and stuff. So I'm, you know...
It's gotta happen the way it does.
Yeah.
At least in part. I feel like they went a little hard.
Yeah, but it's like, I feel like there's just been so many movies, not even horror movies, that are like, look how insane consumers are on Black Friday.
Particularly in America.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's just been beaten to death. And we're like, okay, we get it. Like, it felt fresh and funny when Krampus did it. But by the time we've gone to 2023, we're like, we get it.
We know.
We know.
It is ridiculous. We agree.
Yeah. Though, to be fair, after people have migrated more to doing Black Friday online, mm-hmm. I've at least heard that stores don't get as crazy as they used to.
Yeah, it's not. It's not near as crazy now.
Like, I don't think there's been a death on Black Friday for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Which is kind of sad to talk about. But
and once there were deaths, places started really cracking down security-wise.
Yeah.
Like, it's beyond ridiculous. And also, thankfully, most places in the recent years have also stopped opening on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Which was also absurd. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah, because at least the two deaths, or the deaths that I'm aware of, is first, like, I think like a door fell down, like crushed somebody because people were fucking walking on the door.
Yeah.
And then also...
Which happened in this movie, too.
Yeah. And also people trying to pack in. And so the people in the middle
if suffocated.
Fell,
yeah. That and
no,
I think if someone fell, they got trampled.
Yeah. So, okay. So 3 different... Which I guess is kind of the first one, too. But
yeah, in a way.
Yeah. But point is, we get it. Black Friday is fucked up. Consumerism is a problem. We get it.
We know. We know.
But I did enjoy, like, past the Black Friday part. Overall, I did enjoy the humor of the movie, how cynical it was.
Yes.
It
was kind of right up my alley.
Being
honestly.
a cynical millennial, I'm like, man, this does rub me the right way.
Yeah, this definitely scratches the itch.
Yeah. And the kills are very unforgiving in this movie. They're very brutal, very gory. As someone who does
very
not
decisive.
Yes. As someone who does not enjoy gore, I would say about the majority of them didn't bother me too bad, but there were a few of them.
Especially that like first one with the face.
Oh. That one actually, I mean, I was like, ugh,
as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, this might get her.
Honestly, the oven one really bothered me.
That one was also really bad. That one was particularly brutal.
Just, I don't know why my brain does this, and maybe other people do it too, but my brain is like, oh, let's imagine exactly how that would feel like and how terrible it would be. I'm just like, ah!
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
And the fact that, like, oh man, it's like, what can you do? It's like, I hate when they did that shit in Saw 2.
My brain also goes to logistically what starts to happen to the body.
Well, it's like, first you would just feel, like, extremely hot. And I would assume, like, I don't know if I'm assuming that your skin would start to boil off before your organs started to, like, so you would very likely have your because I know this is what happens when you're unfortunately lit on fire is it's an incredible amount of pain, but then your nerves get burned off and then you can't feel anything. And so it's like she would be in agonizing pain until her nerves burned off.
But in an oven, I feel like that would take longer.
Oh yeah. Take way longer. And then after the nerves burned off, it would be a matter of, like, how long it took her organs to, like, start boiling and cooking, and that would be probably what killed her.
And the liquids in her blood and eyes and all, and
yeah. Yeah, fucking awful.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, that's like, in medieval times, they had what was it, where the iron bowl or something, where,
Yep.
And it's always medieval times, too. I'm just like, why are people so fucked up? Why would you do that to another human being?
If you think about, like, the Spanish Inquisition and all, that's kind of where a lot of it came from. Came about, people got very, very creative.
People are fucked up. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we knew this a long time ago.
I know, but it's just like, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, that took us down a little rabbit hole.
A little bit. Sorry, guys.
I did find it funny that after was this the second or third kill, the guy in the house, how the killer like fed and pet the cat and then left on his merry way.
Second one.
That made me laugh. I was like, oh, that was a fun
number
touch.
2. Yeah. The kitty didn't do anything.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, and I think that also shows that he's not indiscriminate. Like even at that time, I mean, I know they were starting to allude to it, but he's doing it very directly with a purpose. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not killing just to kill.
It's not a random spree killer. It's like there's a method.
Yeah. And I did like that the movie was a little bit longer. Like it's almost 2 hours. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah. But
it didn't feel too long though.
Yeah, right. And the reason why I liked it is they actually took the time to be like, okay, what are the police doing? What are these like less major characters doing. And I really like that because it helps really like flesh out like the scene on like what's happening in all aspects rather than just focusing on the main characters. Because it's like, you know, there's some movies where it's just focusing on the main characters and all of a sudden the police show up and they're like, oh, we knew it was a, you know, and you're like, what? And so.
Then where were you this whole time?
Right. So it's like, I like the fact that they were like, here's a whole well-rounded picture of like what's going on. So I enjoyed that. And so I'm very glad that they made the movie longer in order to show that.
Yeah.
And the fucking parsley between the toes. What he was like.
And brushing her with butter.
Yeah. That probably would have made it. Oh man, and that probably would have made her skin like crisp up before her nerve turned off. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Ouch. But anyways, yeah.
Basically, you are getting boiling oil on your face and skin. Yeah.
Yep. But I did like the twist of, I mean, so I was telling Jess that whenever the very beginning of the movie happened and the sheriff like showed up, for a blink of a second, I'm like, oh, I bet he's the killer. But I kind of went into the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm just going to watch this movie. And then it did end up being the sheriff. I'm like, God damn it. But I did like the twist where the main character, she was actually accidentally helping him find kills. And
because she was trying to be helpful to the police. Like, it's a horrible thing. She felt awful about it. Even though it wasn't technically her fault, she still wanted to help any way she could.
Yeah. And so it's like, man, could you imagine the level of guilt? It's like, oh man. But I will say, like, okay, in the Black Friday scene, whenever the lady that, like, does get, like, dies and then has the shopping cart pull a piece of her scalp off, even in the beginning of that movie, I was like, man, they're really calling to that death specifically. That's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
And so I was
they
like,
kept focusing in on it.
yeah. And so when they're talking about, oh, they're killing everyone off that happened at this Black Friday, I'm like, I wonder if it's because the lady died. And then they're like, yeah, it's because the lady died. It's like, okay. So it's like there's aspects of this movie that make it a little bit too predictable, but I did like a lot of the things that they did with it. But it's like there's not a lot of Thanksgiving classics, horror classics, I should say, that are actually really good. And so out of all of those, I feel like this one is probably the best. But just how brutal some of the deaths are.
Might want to have a strong stomach for it.
It's like I would probably watch it as a tradition with friends rather than by myself, because it's just like I'm just too much in the headspace of being like, yeah, let's put myself in that spot and experience it. It's like, no. But yeah, that's what I got for entertainment.
So I rather enjoyed this one as well, and I'll probably end up watching this one every year around Thanksgiving, honestly. I give it a 7.75.
Oh, damn.
I rather enjoyed it. I liked how, yeah, you do kind of get those vibes pretty early on that it's the sheriff, but I like how they put different people in and just different awkward situations and all that. You're like, well, I don't know. It
makes
this
you
guy.
second guess.
Yeah. And he's got that new partner that just started as well, the new deputy. Yeah. Who is an asshole. Which he's not that bad, but he's got no social skills at all. Yeah. Yeah. So you're like, well, he seemed to have just moved, but did he move because because someone died and he's trying to figure out what happened and get revenge or anything like that, or it's just kind of odd that he rolls in and then all of a sudden all these deaths start.
Yeah, so it's like I don't feel like a whole lot of movies do a good job on making you second guess yourself, and this one does a decent job.
This one does.
Yeah.
And then with the current boyfriend that she's with and the previous boyfriend, and there's like a few different people that it could have been. So it was nice that it wasn't, I mean, it could have been a bit more subtle, but it wasn't like completely in your face. Oh, it's definitely this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know it. Everybody else should know it, but they don't because movie's got a movie kind of thing. It's not one of those, which is nice and refreshing. The kills were all varied. They were brutal. But they were all varied, and I like how a lot of them had a different theme, kind of, a little bit.
Yeah.
But they still all kind of centered around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, the kills were definitely varied. Yeah. Some of them went down a lot worse than other people.
A little bit. I feel like some were harsher than they should have been. A little bit. But, they were still interesting, and it wasn't just like same thing, different person over and over and over. Yeah. The characters, for the most part, made good choices. For the most part,
and the characters really were pretty unique, distinct,
yes.
And they felt like fleshed out people.
Yes,
no pun intended.
Yeah, so it was, you could keep them all straight in your head. I still have questions. We'll get to a lot of those in the realism scale. But I like also how, because he was law enforcement, he knew a lot of what they would look for. So he knew how to go around it. Mm-hmm. Like setting up the relay. Well, not really a relay, but like using the phone to stream it from
that
the
was
computer,
really smart. Yeah,
like pointed
I put
at
that in realism.
Instead.
That
was really good. But it ups the entertainment value when it's more fleshed out and really thought out.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting killer. It's a smart killer. The main characters are not all completely stupid. The other officers that are not part of it aren't all incompetent, which is nice and refreshing, and they're doing something.
Yeah, it's just a well-rounded movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it definitely scratched that itch for me, and I appreciate that because, again, we don't get many at all for Thanksgiving itself. So, I appreciate it.
So, for realism, I give this a 2.5. So, oh man, I meant to look this up. But the first kill, whenever her face got ripped off, I wanted to look up if having a part of your cheek missing like that would actually prevent the face recognition thing from working, or if it looks more of like your bone structure or like how that technology works.
I meant to look that up too and I didn't.
Because I think she really didn't have that much of her face missing, so I don't feel like it should have, prevented her from going in. And then that made me also think, well, what about the people that do have plastic surgery? Does that mean
it?
Oh man. But I'm sure it like depends on like what all you're changing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I have questions about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was kind of a funny thing where it's like, she's trying to call the police up, she can't. But I know also, I believe Apple, though, have a safety feature where you can call emergency services without having to unlock the phone.
I don't think it was an iPhone, though.
But I'm pretty sure all phones as a standard, though, have like an alternative way. Like for emergency services specifically, you don't have to
it's
unlock
on
the
the lock screen.
Yeah.
Because if you're incapacitated, but someone else is there, they can call emergency services from your phone.
Yeah. So, but anyways.
Well, they also usually have a different unlock feature too, like a passcode.
Well, that's why I thought it was an Apple user, because that's really common with Apple phones is people just do the face recognition thing.
I thought at first it was an Apple phone, but my husband said it wasn't, that it was an Android. And he knows phones better than I do, so I took his word at it. But we could rewatch it and look.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's just something of interest and something
Smartphones in general.
Yeah. It's like, I thought it was like a funny scene, but also made me kind of be like, I wonder.
Manufactured drama.
But also made me be like, would that actually happen? But also, like, even if that did happen, she should be able to call a different way. But anyways, I enjoyed and thought it was fairly accurate, the police profiling discussion on the killer. Which is another reason, I mean, it goes back to the entertainment. Why I'm glad that they made this movie a little bit longer. They took the time to go through that.
So nice.
One thing that was definitely unrealistic was the jock's neck being perfectly turned around and his head staying on top of his head. Yeah. It looked like his neck was made out of like putty or something.
Yes. They seem to use practical effects for that.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate because it does typically look better than CG. Depending on how well it's done. But
it did look,
it just looked.
It's like, no, that is not how it do.
Completely wrong. Just no.
Because at least from my understanding, now I'm not a doctor or an expert on
I know
body, but
skin
it's like
is stretchy, but it's not that far stretchy.
Yeah, and then also, I don't know if his head would I would think that his head, or at least flop or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
it would
would
have just stayed in that one position.
Right. Yeah. So
because essentially you're severing the spinal column.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot of force, too.
Yeah, so the fact that he so easily was like, boop, and then was like, oh, here I am on my merry way.
Yep. And the body just stayed sitting there.
Yeah.
Not falling over or anything. Yeah.
Now, the stepmom, the oven lady, I did think it was really smart of her to use the bloody footprints to try and, like, redirect it. And the fact that the killer didn't buy it.
Yeah.
That.
You could tell it was going to happen. Because that's what always happens. But still. Like, if you were in that scene in the moment, that would just be even more terrifying.
Yeah, but I thought that was
and
so
awesome,
smart of
thank
her.
you.
Yeah, because at first I was like, wow, what an idiot.
Yes.
She's like leading herself. And then I was like, oh, she's off to the side. I'm like, whoa, that's like
I was
so
sitting here
smart.
Too, like, you've got blood all over your feet.
Yeah,
what
like,
do
how did you
think
not
you're
feel
gonna
that?
do? Yeah.
But I like that they did
I'm
that.
like, you at least gotta wipe it off. Like, do something. Keep going. But yeah, no, that was really well done.
Yeah. And I like that, what we mentioned before, I like that the killer was really smart on, like, the cell phone tracking.
Yes.
Like, that was really smart to redirect them. But one of the bigger BS moment, and this is more like nitpicky, but when I forgot if it's a coroner or who was it that said it, but after the explosion at the end, they're like,
yes,
there would have been a body.
There would have been something.
Do you realize how hot a fire has to be for a certain amount of time? It's not just it reaches that temperature. It has to be there for a sustained period of time for there to not be even like bone fragments or something.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was an explosion.
Yeah. And it's like really the only type of explosion that you hear that it goes that hot is like nuclear bomb
like
type
Hiroshima.
Yeah. So yeah. So
yeah, no.
There would be a body.
Yeah. There'd be something left. There would have been something left.
So,
and it's not like it was like thermite.
No.
Or napalm. It was gas. It was flammable gas.
Yeah, it's gas. The turkey was a little gassy. Yeah. Just after the Thanksgiving dinner.
So anyway, yeah. So you gave it a 2.5 honestly, I was gonna give it a 4. Bordering on a 4.5.
It's like, is the neck thing, like, some of the kills are just a little too
I agree.
ridiculous.
Some
for
of
me.
them are, but for the most part, they did a good job. So I'm gonna give it a 4.
It's like one thing I wasn't sure if it was realistic or not, and I didn't really care to look and verify, is when he was cutting into her leg, the way that the flesh looked and stuff.
That looked about accurate. I could be wrong, but that looked fairly accurate for cooked meat like that. Yeah. So, again, there were a couple of deaths that were a bit ridiculous. The waitress being cut in half by the dumpster slamming shut.
Yeah, how the fuck did that happen?
I was laughing.
I don't even
so
know how that
hard.
happened.
And I had concerns after that because that was the first death. I had concerns after that because I'm like, is that how all of the kills are going to be? Because if so, this movie's going to go downhill fast. But honestly, most of the other kills were accurate, or at least realistic enough that it was plausible. So, thankfully. I'm sitting here like, the dumpster thing, no. just no. But on the whole, the rest of them made mostly, apart from the neck thing, sense.
Oh, the trampoline one. That also gave me oogie boogies. Could you remember, or could you, like...
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that would
And I had
suck.
a feeling that's what was gonna happen. I don't know how she didn't see him,
The fact that, like...
but I guess she
man.
was just so into the moment that she wasn't paying attention, which, teenager, plausible. But,
I mean, that
it's
just would-
unpleasant.
I know. And the fact that
Unpleasant,
you're the
yeah.
one kind of, like, causing it, and it's like after the first one, she knows what's coming and she's trying to avoid it, but it's like,
But you're
there-
on a
there's
trampoline.
only
What are
so
you
much
gonna
you can
do?
Yeah, it's like, oh, very
Yeah.
nice.
The going back a bit to the Black Friday scene, I wish I could say that that's not realistic, but it's not. To be perfectly clear, it's not. But at the same time, it's not far off. It's not far off. They ramped it up for sure for the movie, but it's not far off. I worked retail for about 9 years or so. Actually, a little bit more. So, yeah. And I worked like every Black Friday, not necessarily at the opening every time. And there were times when I was like security for, I know that's kind of funny, but I was security for a couple of those years. And we made it perfectly clear to the people in the line. And yes, we would have them line up instead of just a mass blob.
Yeah.
They would go in a line, single file, and if there was any kind of hint of anything going sideways, we made it very clear that those doors would not open at all, and that those people in particular that were involved were going to be kicked out and or prosecuted, depending on the situation.
Good.
Like, we were not... It was zero tolerance.
Good.
Zero.
There's
And
no
even when they
reason.
got in the store, we told them in the line, there will be no running. There will be no shoving. Everything will be orderly.
Yeah.
Or we will kick you out. Like, we will not process any transactions for you. You will be just straight up kicked out.
Yeah, it's like, be a normal, decent human being.
Right? Like, it's
TV
not
isn't
worth all
it.
that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, most of the Black Friday sales, quote unquote, aren't really that great of deals.
Yeah.
They used to be way back in the day. Nowadays, they like hike up the normal price and put it on a sale. and it's not that big a sale.
Well, I know I've seen TikTok videos of some people saying like, "Oh, so a sale, this price," and then they'll remove the tag, and it's the exact same price.
It's the same price.
Yeah.
Other times, like, you'll find a much better sale for the same thing a couple of weeks before or a couple of weeks after.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even worth it anymore to go shopping for Black Friday in store or online.
Yeah. That's why I really like the Chrome extensions. I'll tell you the price
Like
history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are very
not
handy.
sponsored.
I also use Keepa, Keepa. That one's a really good one too.
There are several out there, so just do your research.
Yeah. If you're getting stuck
They're
into a
out
sale,
there,
double check the
yeah.
prices before you.
It's worth it to double check. Sometimes it's worth it for the convenience to just order it then. But if you can wait, it's best to check the price, especially nowadays with things being as crazy as they are with prices and everything. So we got a little off topic.
Anyways.
But it is crazy, but it's not quite that crazy. And the fact that everybody was rushing by certain people that were bleeding heavily, like the guy that got his neck cut from the door, the glass on the door, and everybody was just passing him. And the guy still tried to get a stupid waffle iron. No. I counted off for that.
Like, we know it's satire, but come on.
I feel like there would have been more phones, but I feel like a lot of those phones would have been confiscated as evidence. Because they filmed what all happened. The police need that information. The fact that someone was able to go in and erase camera footage before police could get to it?
Yeah.
No. If they are able to do that, it just... I feel like that would be more of an obstruction charge unless they just could not prove it. But... come on. It just seemed a little convenient that they didn't know that there was extra storage in the cloud and that there were backups and all that they couldn't subpoena. Just
that's what I would think about
and
cloud storage, yeah.
Also, a lot of the pictures that they had looked like it was from the security footage. And they're like, but we don't have security footage. So I counted off for that because they couldn't seem to pick a lane there. But yeah. Also, it just... everything that happens seems like it should have been more than one person. That was a lot for one person, and he was everywhere. And it just seemed off. And it seemed... I don't know if it was you, maybe it was me, but it looked like in different scenes his height was changing. From like one scene to a different kill. Like in a different kill, his height, he seemed a little like taller or shorter.
Yeah,
it could have just been like the stunt person they used or something.
More than, yeah, I would assume so.
It just seemed a little sus. Also, when he was chasing the girl out of the historical place and she climbs the fence, he stopped at the fence. But then he had enough time to beat her to the cop car, try to get her ex out of the trunk, get hit with the tire iron, and pass out, and lay there, unconscious, until she got there. How did he beat her there, do all that? No. No, the timeline just doesn't match up.
Yeah.
It doesn't match up. And I know they were trying to make it like he definitely was the one that ran after her and all, but why? It would just make more sense. And maybe there will be a sequel coming because, again, they didn't find the body. But maybe it would make a lot more sense if there was more than one that was in on it. That's all I'm saying. It just doesn't seem quite plausible that it was just him.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Honestly, like, whenever they showed Bobby or whatever, I thought, and then they found out as a sheriff, like, I thought they're alluding to the fact that there were multiple until he explained it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I do think it was very, very smart, though, that she grabbed the phone out of the evidence bag.
Yeah.
And was using it to stream.
Yeah, that was really smart.
And again, once again, what did the sheriff think was going to happen? Yeah. Even if he killed them, he just confessed with full details on a live stream.
Speaking of live stream, I disagreed. I mean, I feel like there would be some outliers that either thought it was fake or was just a disgusting human being. But the live stream that he was doing, all of the likes and favorites and stuff that was happening for something that he was putting out as real, like, no.
I feel like it would have gotten taken down.
Oh, yeah. That stuff gets taken down real quick.
And really, if it didn't get taken down by the site itself, the police should have contacted the site and been like, hey.
Yeah.
unless they contacted the site saying we're trying to use it to find him.
Right. Yeah.
That would be the only situation I can think of.
Yeah, but it's like, I feel like most people would click off and like contact the site or report it. Yeah, report it. And then the people that stay are like would either, I think the majority of them would just assume that's all fake.
Yeah.
But it's like that much.
And if they knew it was real, then they would have been reporting it, I would think.
Yeah. The majority of people. I know there's probably a few outliers here and there, but yeah.
Some that would watch it just out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep. But yeah, overall, like, as far as Thanksgiving horror movies go, this one's pretty well rounded, pretty decent. Comparing it to other horror movies, I feel like there are some ones that have done better, but I mean, honestly, like, between what they do with, like, the character, like, kind of digging into the characters and stuff, they do a lot of things right.
Yeah.
It's just really the biggest thing for me is some of the grossness.
I will admit, the guy whose family sells guns and things with the heart of gold, like... Yeah, he's a bit of a piece of shit for, like, holding parties and things with obviously underage kids and drinking. And there are guns that aren't necessarily really locked up and all. Like, he has some definitely bad qualities. But on the other hand, like, he's actively trying to help these kids. And he even, like... Even though the main final girl chick, when she's saying, like, no, I don't want a gun, I'll probably end up hurting myself or someone else instead of the killer, he ends up giving her a ring.
Yeah. And
that is able to cut through the ropes and all. That was really cool, and I really liked that.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
I mean, it saved her life.
It saved her and her friend.
Yeah. Scuba.
Yeah. So I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
He obviously not 100% great character.
Right.
He had some bad qualities that he should have gotten in trouble for. But he kind of also has a heart of gold. You're like, wait, what? It was a little confusing there. Yeah. But that was interesting. So they had varied and interesting characters, and I like that.
Yep. But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
If you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Teespring with these mugs available. And we have the PayPal or affiliate link with Republic of Tea as well. It does not affect the price of the tea. It just allows us to continue to do what we love. And you can find all of those sites mentioned in the link below. But until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye.